Hello, everyone. Once again, it's Afton Anderson. Today, my subject is drugs with the subcategory of nicotine and tobacco, and we'll be doing a lesson plan involving the cost of being a user, both monetary and health-wise, versus a non-user. Today, with a lesson plan, students will learn about the health risks of being a user, they'll learn about the cost of a user over a year, they'll work with others, and plot points and create well-organized graphs. This lesson plan is meant for a high school math class, and the lesson will take place over two 50-minute periods. For California standards, health-wise, it covers 4 standards. It analyzes the influence of alcohol and other drug use on personal, family, and community safety, which is standard 2.2. It also describes the health benefits of abstaining from or discontinuing use of alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs. It covers mathematics, Common Core standards, such as represent real-world and mathematical problems by graphing points in the first quadrant of the coordinate plane, and interpret coordinate values of points in the context of the situation, which means basically making a graph that makes sense and is applicable. The objectives for today: students will learn of the effects nicotine and tobacco have on the human body. Students will compare lifespans of users versus non-users. Students will compare the cost of being a user versus non-user. Students will collaborate with others, work as a team, and students will properly plot points and make meaningful, understandable graphs. And then the goals are working as a group, learning the long-term effects of nicotine and tobacco, and creating useful graphs that best exhibit the data. So for day 1, the materials needed is listed below. The beginning assessment will ask students what they know about nicotine and tobacco. Once that conversation comes to a natural stopping point, I will have a short slideshow presentation on what the substances are, so then the students are familiar with the topic. At the end of the slides, I will provide resources which will give them a jumping off point for research. I will allow questions so as to clarify anything about the assignment at hand, and this whole chunk will be 15 to 20 minutes. For the rest of that class period, they will be let loose for research. They will get into a pair and research together using resources provided, or they can go and find their own. They'll learn of the health risks of using nicotine and tobacco, compare cost, and compile data about the average lifespan of a user and non-user, and average cost over a year. The last 5 minutes of class, I will let them know that time is up. If they haven't found all the data they need and kind of wasted the time period, then they will be asked to get the rest of their additional information done as homework. I will do a survey of how many students completed this, so I know where we are for the next class period and make sure that we are on track. For day 2, the materials are listed below as well. For this, it involves a little bit of knowing how to make these graphs that I expect them. So beforehand, they will already know how to make a box plot and how to make a meaningful bar graph before they start this day 2 portion. The beginning assessment for this class period will be shorter, 5 to 7 minutes. We will compile all our data together and write on the board the average lifespan of a smoker, average lifespan of a non-smoker, the average amount people spend in a year, and how many minutes a cigarette shortens your lifespan. Once we have all these collected, I will write them on the board so everyone can see that. And then these will come in handy when they do their worksheet in the next step. For the worksheet, they'll have 20 to 25 minutes. They will split up the work because of the time constraint and calculations they need to do. So one student will be using this link I provided to help calculate the monetary cost of being a smoker. I will pass out 5 slips of paper with imaginary people on it. There will be 2 people, 1 smoker, 1 non-smoker. The smoker will have information that can be applied to the link to figure out how much it costs over a year as compared to a non-smoker. And we will have prior information of how much it costs to be an American every day in a year, in which they will compare the two. The second part is the lifespan portion. And for this, they will be creating a box plot graph. Again, I will pass out 5 slips of paper, 2 people on it, smoker, non-smoker. The smoker side will have how many cigarettes they have smoked over a decade, and with our information of how many cigarettes take away X amount of minutes off their life, this will help figure out the smoker's average lifespan, in which they can compare it to the non-smoker's average lifespan. The student will need to calculate the median and quartiles, which they will have notes on from prior lectures. And they will already have, as I mentioned before, the average lifespan of each group of individuals, and will have a formula given to them to calculate cigarettes and affect lifespan. They're not expected to find this formula on their own. The last 10 to 15 minutes, students will share their graphs and what they learned. They'll be also sharing any struggles they had, so as to improve the assignment for next time, whether it be information given or instruction, anything that they find as constructive criticism. They will also be asked to share what they liked about the assignment. Their exit ticket to leave will be to write down one thing they learned from their research, and then they will be on with their day. So this is my lesson plan, day 1, day 2, start to finish, and that is all. Thank you.